In today's episode of Locked On Diamondbacks, I'm going to be giving you not one, not two, not three, but 10 reasons why the future of the DBacks is looking as bright as ever.
You are Locked On Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up and welcome to the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network. I'm your host, Daynen Biggs. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. Today, I wanted to talk about who we have coming down the pipeline, our prospects, and who we can expect to see here in the next year or two. And a big part of this is because it was recently announced that the new Baseball America top 10 prospects list for the Diamondbacks was released. And I wanted to cover that because there are some changes and it's interesting to see kind of where everything is lying there. So we're going to go over our new top 10 prospects as well as a handful of others. And then I wanted to go through both the history of our homegrown players and who is currently on the team that is a homegrown player, somebody who we drafted or signed as an international free agent or something like that, and see kind of how that's been going so far. And then finally, if we have time, if assuming I don't talk throughout the entire 30 minutes. We'll also talk a little bit about what the Diamondbacks have been doing and what they will be doing during this offseason in the fall league and winter ball and how that's all looking. So, because it's very interesting things there to talk about as well. So please stay tuned because this is a very fun subject and this is going to have a big effect on both this upcoming season, but also the seasons to come. And the reason it'll affect this upcoming season is because there's a fair chance that a handful of these guys in this first segment, at least of our top 10 prospects, are going to get traded. And when that happens, we need to, if that happens, when that happens, it'll be good for us to kind of have a little bit of background on who these players are. So we can decide how angry we want to be or how happy we want to be about it. So let's go ahead and get started. The top 10 prospects. Number one, repeating this year as our number one prospect, is Ryan Waldschmidt. Ryan Waldschmidt, he is an outfielder. If you don't know him, he is currently in Double-A, and we're not expecting him this next season, but likely sometime in 2027. Now, Waldschmidt in Double-A had a slash line of 309, batting average of 309, on base percentage of 423, and a slugging of 498. So what that tells me is he gets on base a lot, and he'll hit extra base hits as well. Maybe not quite as, he's maybe not a big power hitter, at least not yet, because he is very young as well. But in 66 games in Double-A, he had 77 hits, so more hits than he had games, which is usually a good sign. 26 of those 77 hits were extra base hits. 9 of those extra base hits were home runs. He had 35 RBIs, and he also had 19 stolen bases. So Waldschmidt is he's killing it where he's going, and he has been skyrocketing through the system. He was our number one prospect last year and is a repeat of our number one prospect this year. Now, Waldschmidt is a name that comes up a lot when it comes to who is going to get traded as a potential. I would be very sad to see that, especially, and I'm wonder if that is something that will happen just if we end up parting ways with Alek Thomas and or Jake McCarthy, because we are going to need the outfielders. So I wonder if he would be one that sticks around, but he is a valuable player and a valuable prospect. So I could potentially see him getting traded for pitching, which we need now. And he's a 2027 potential player. So I'd hate to see it, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and I understand that. Number 2, who's moved up a position, is Kayson Cunningham. Now, he was drafted out of high school, just barely drafted out of high school. He is a shortstop, second baseman. He's currently in high A, and we're not expecting him until 2028. He was in the 3rd spot. Now he's in the 2nd spot, so he's moving up a little bit. And in high A, he played in 11 games, had 12 hits, 1 for an extra base hit, and had 4 RBIs. He is described as someone with a lot of raw talent, but is still, I mean, he's right out of high school. A lot of guys are out of college when they're drafted. So Cunningham is still very young. In those 11 games, he has a 255 batting average, 308 on base percentage, and a 277 slugging. So basically, he just basically hits singles right now. So keep your eye on Cunningham, assuming we don't trade him this upcoming season, because his progress is going to be very, very telling. If in 2026 if he ends 2026 in AAA because he's just flying through, then that means we're probably going to see him very, very soon. If probably a more realistic is that he'll end up in AA and then AAA in 2027, and we'll see him in 2028. That's more realistic, I think. But either way, Kayson Cunningham, keep an eye on him. Next is Demetrio Crisantes, who is our number 3 top prospect. He's an infielder, also in high A. We're expecting to see him a little bit earlier because he is a little bit older. We're expecting to see him sometime in 2027. He was in the 4th, now in the 3rd top prospect list. He is hitting a 252 batting average, 358 on base, and a 415 slugging. In 34 games, he has 31 hits, 12 of those for extra base hits, 4 home runs, and 29 RBIs. So he is looking pretty good as well, and an infielder that will be he'll be good in 2027, because by then there's a good chance that, if assuming we keep Ketel Marte, which I think is likely, assuming we keep Ketel Marte, he probably won't play second base forever. And here in the next couple years, he's likely to transition to a full-time designated hitter position, or at least part-time. And so to have another infielder to fill that role is going to be very, very important. Probably not this year, but in 2027 or 2028, when Crisantes comes up, would be nice. So that's a good one to keep in mind as well. Next, who used to be in the number 2 spot, now in the number 4 spot, is Slade Caldwell, who is an outfielder. He's in high A right now. We're not expecting him till 2028. But he has a 238 batting average, 370 on base percentage, which is quite the jump. And then a 311 slugging. In 61 games. He had 58 hits, 17 for extra bases. He didn't have any home runs this last season, but he did have 18 RBIs and 12 stolen bases. So Caldwell is another one that seems like he is quite young and still kind of getting the swing of things, literally. And so he's going to be an important one, kind of alongside Cunningham. I think the two of them are probably going to develop similarly and at a similar rate. So we'll want to watch both of them. Now, one who is a big kind of surprise and headline here is right-handed starting pitcher David Hagaman, who we got in the Merrill Kelly trade. And everybody who follows the minor league system and follows minor league players on individual teams and all teams and everything agree that David Hagaman is a steal. They're like, wow, you guys got a really good prospect right there. And I would agree. I did get to watch him pitch, and he from what I saw in the live, seems like the kind of pitcher who is extremely hard to get anything going against, unless he walks you. which he kind of does a little bit. So he's a pitcher who's still working on his command, but I think if he can get that nailed down, he's got some pretty good stuff. In 5 starts in high A, he's 1-0, 20 innings pitched, and has a 3.15 ERA, 27 strikeouts in 20 innings, and a .75 WHIP. So he gives up an average of, what would that be? 3 runners every 4 innings. So yeah, so he would give up about 6 runners in an entire game if he were to pitch an entire game. That's hits, walks, errors, whatever. So really, really high, good potential right there from David Hagaman, also a very young player. And he is an exciting one and one we definitely want to keep our eye on. And I'm seeing right now, now that I'm looking at this, that is our 1, 2, 3, 4th. That's our 4th high A prospect in a row, which means that 2027, 2028 Diamondbacks are going to have a lot of talent coming in, assuming these guys all develop at the right pace and are able to really come into their own. So that's exciting. That's very exciting. And 2027, Waldschmidt would be coming in, and then our number 6 prospect, who is Daniel Egan, who is another right-handed starting pitcher. He is in Double-A. We're expected to see him in 2027, and he was the 16th. Sorry, 16th. He was the 13th prospect on the list. He is now the 6th. And I don't know if I mentioned this. David Hagaman was 15th and is now 5th. So both of these guys jumped up quite a bit. In high A, he was pitching a 249 in quite a lot. He had 132 strikeouts in 97 innings, 97.2 innings. So very, very good stuff from Daniel Egan in high A. In Double A, which is where he finished, he didn't have quite as many outings in Double A and had a 5.49 ERA in Double A. So getting used to Double A. Let's see how he does this upcoming season. So I think he's going to have some good stuff, but yeah, a little bit of an adjustment, it would seem, in Double A. But Daniel Egan, David Hagaman are starting pitchers in 2028, and then Slade Caldwell and Ryan Waldschmidt in the outfield, Kayson Cunningham and Demetrio Crisantes in the infield. And then also, I'll just also talk about the number 10 spot here, who is new. Christopher Torin is an infielder, shortstop, second baseman, who's currently in Double A. He was formerly in the 19 position. Now he's in the 10th position. We're likely to see him in 2027. He is batting a 287 average, a on-base percentage of 381, and then a slugging of 385 in 122 games. He has 134 hits, 31 of those for extra base hits, 6 home runs, 57 RBIs, and 15 stolen bases. Really exciting stuff from him. So we've got 2 shortstop second basemen on this top 10 list, 2 right-handed starting pitchers, 2 outfielders, and another infielder. We also the publisher who published this, Baseball America, hid the actual list behind a paywall. And I'm not about to do that. Maybe I should. I probably should. But the 7, 8, and 9 were not explicitly said in an article that in the article that I read. So, but those are they're either Tommy Troy, Cole Drake, JD Dix, Patrick Forbes, or Mitch Bratt. Which we could talk about them a little bit as well, but we need to move on to our next segment, which I am very, very excited about. This is good. This was a really fun little research project for me. So we're going to talk about our homegrown players and the history of homegrown players with the Diamondbacks right after the short break. So stay right there. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of a game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into the same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to fanduel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And we're back. And I once again wanted to say thank you for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen of the day. Thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. And thank you for sticking with me in the last few weeks of weird posting schedules. I'm trying to post every day. I'm trying to post every morning. Sometimes that doesn't happen. This week I got sick, as the last episode I mentioned at the end, and I probably sounded kind of funny. And I was sniffling and yawning a lot. And I was gross. So I'm kind of coming off of that right now. So that's why you're going to have this episode and the next episode kind of back to back. But let's talk about our homegrown players here. Let's first talk about who we have right now. So the first one that I'm going to bring up, Corbin Carroll. That one's a fairly easy one. He was a first round pick in 2019. Let's actually talk about all of our first round picks, because we got a lot of them. And I'm looking at just the 40-man roster. I'm not looking at the minor league system right now. I'm not looking at any of that. I'm looking at our 40-man roster that is live as of a few days ago. So Corbin Carroll was a first-round pick in 2019. Who else was a first-round pick? Well, I didn't know this. I feel like I did in the back of my mind, but I didn't think about it. In 2017, our first-round pick was Pavin Smith. I didn't know that. I kind of did, I guess. But so 2017, Pavin Smith. 2019, Corbin Carroll. I don't believe our 2018 first-round pick is on here. Though Jake McCarthy was a competitive balance A round pick, which is basically it's like a competitive. Certain teams, depending on their market size, get an additional pick between the first and second rounds, and Jake McCarthy was our 1.5 round pick in 2018. But that's not first round. Anyway, first round pick for 2021 was Jordan Lawler. So we have Corbin Carroll, Pavin Smith, Jordan Lawler as our first round picks. Let's keep going here. In 2019, pitcher Blake Waldschmidt was our first round pick. We haven't really seen much of Blake Waldschmidt. I don't know if actually have we seen any of him. He is currently on our 40-man roster, and it looks like he did in fact pitch in Arizona. Oh yeah, he did. He pitched 5 games. He started 2 games and had an ERA of 4.42. In that, he pitched 18 innings, gave up 9 earned runs. So not too bad. I don't know why he didn't. I guess he was injured. I should have looked into this beforehand, so apologies. But yes, he was injured all last year. So that'll do it. But anyway, Blake Waldschmidt, first round pick of 2019. And then Bryce Jarvis was our first round pick in 2020. Bryce Jarvis I think he gets kind of a bad rap, Bryce Jarvis, because he, a relief pitcher blows a game or gives up the game or whatever it is, and we're very quick to turn on him. Now, granted, he did have a 5.73 ERA last season, but that was only in 22 innings pitched. He had 21 strikeouts. He had a 1.5 whip. So, I mean, it's not spectacular. I'm for sure, but not terrible either. I mean, his longest outing on the team was last year, 2024, where he pitched 44 games and had a 3.19 ERA. So I think that's probably more of what we can expect from him. And also, he pitched nearly 60 innings and had 38 strikeouts. So bad math here. A little bit over half of the amount of innings pitched is strikeouts. This season, he nearly matched it, number of strikeouts. So pretty close. So Bryce Jarvis, I am excited. I'm excited to see more of what he can do, and I think that I think he's still got a lot to go for him. I'm not giving up on him, is what I'm trying to say. And then Dre Jameson was a round 1C pick in 2019. Round 1C, I think that's like another competitive balance type thing. I'm not completely sure. But anyway, those are our first round picks there. Let's go through all of our other draft picks. Tim Tawa was an 11th round pick in 2021. Blaze Alexander was also an 11th round pick in 2018. Jake McCarthy, as I said, was a competitive balance round pick in 2018. Alec Thomas that same year was a second round pick in 2018. So we got McCarthy, then Thomas right after him. Adrian Del Castillo was another competitive balance one but it was after the second round. So it was like the second batch of it's complicated. In 2021, Ryan Nelson was our second round pick in 2019. Brandon Pfaadt was our fifth round pick in 2020. Andrew Saalfrank was our sixth round pick in 2019. Dylan Ray, who was recently added to the 40-man roster, was our fourth round pick in 2022. Kevin Ginkel was our 22nd pick, 22nd round pick in 2016. And yeah, one of our more reliable bullpen arms there. So that's kind of funny. Yilber Diaz. Oh, we'll talk about Yilber Diaz here in a minute. And then Philip Abner was a sixth round pick in 2023. So those are all of our draft picks. And then we have a bunch of, speaking of Yilber Diaz, we have a handful of international free agent signings as well. So basically they weren't drafted from like the draft, I guess. They were signed on from the international market. Yilber Diaz was signed in 2021. Kyle Backus, I'm not quite sure exactly how we got him. In 2021, we signed him as a free agent. I think somehow out of college or something like that. I'm not exactly sure how we got Kyle Backus, but in 2021, we signed him. And he's been in our system ever since. He was never in anybody else's system. That's the point. Justin Martinez was an international free agent in 2018. Jose Fernandez, who was just added to the 40-man roster, was an international free agent in 2021. Jorge Barrosa was an international free agent in 2017. And finally, Geraldo Perdomo was an international free agent in 2016. Now, okay, if you're still with me, I don't know if you are still, because that was a lot of names and numbers and all that kind of stuff. I want to quickly look at like our most recent draft picks and kind of where they are right now. Philip Abner was 2023. I think that is our most recent one. And Philip Abner did a pretty good job on the tail end of this season. So 2023 he was signed. That means his first full season would have been 2024, and then 2025 he was in the majors. So good on Philip Abner. I'm hoping we can fill our bullpen enough that he can kind of continue to develop in AAA. But if we need him, then we need him. But that shows how quickly a player can really come in and make a big difference. And interestingly, Corbin Carroll, he was a first-round pick in 2019, and his rookie season was 2023. So within 4 years, he was in the majors. And he played in the majors in the year before that, too. So we see that. And then Jordan Lawler was a 2021 draft pick, which means 2022 was his first full season. And he played a little bit last year and a little bit this year. So I guess this last year would have been like his Corbin Carroll rookie season. So obviously it's kind of apples and oranges. You can't perfectly compare two different players, but a lot of people disappointed by Jordan Lawler's outing in the majors. you got to remember he was drafted like 4 years ago. Like 3 years ago was his first full season. So, and a lot of people are bagging on him, but they really like Pavin Smith, who was a first round pick in 2017, which was going on 9 years ago. So, which Pavin Smith, obviously, I don't think anybody's like totally in love with Pavin Smith or anything, but I think I think he is good for what he is. But I mean, he's not quite an all-star. I'd love to see a breakout season from him. That would be rad. But and then we have a couple 11th round picks in Tim Tawa, Blaze Alexander. I think our latest round pick was Kevin Ginkel in the 22nd round. And very fun, very interesting. And then let's look at same season ones. So 2018, 2019, Corbin Carroll was the first round, and then Ryan Nelson was the second round. And Blake Walton was another first round pick in 2019. So we had 2 first round picks in 2019, I think. Yeah. And then Dre Jameson shortly after, also in 2019, all first, second round guys. So if which Ryan Nelson, I think, is living up to it. I think he still needs a little bit more, a little bit more to be considered great, but I think he's moving in the right direction. And then we have quite a few in 2019 as well. Or no, I just said 2019. Uh, we do have quite a few. Oh, and then Andrew Saalfrank was the 6th round pick in 2019. I did skip over him. 2018, that was when we got Jake McCarthy after the first round, Alec Thomas in the second round, Blaze Alexander in the 11th round, Justin Martinez, we signed an international free agency in 2018. And yeah, there we go. So anyway, pretty interesting stuff. I would love to go through just all of our draft picks and just see where they are today. Like starting, I don't know, I guess starting not too late. What was it? Who's the oldest one on here? Is it Kevin Ginkel and Geraldo Perdomo? Were both signed in 2016, and that's the oldest. Interestingly, though, this is an interesting thing. On our 40-man roster, 23 of them are homegrown players. I don't know if that's a ton comparatively or not, but 23 of 40 players are homegrown. And of that, who I imagine would be on the 26-man roster, 17 of them are homegrown. So only 9 players on our 26-man roster, according to right now and who I think who would make it, only 9 players were traded for. And like one of those, and some of those were traded for before they made the majors, like Ketel Marte, we got when he was in the minors. So the Diamondbacks are the only major league team he's played on. Anyway, you guys, we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to talk about some of the greatest of all time, the GOATs, if you will, of homegrown players in Diamondback history. So stay right there. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. So homegrown players basically means they were drafted out of high school or college, or they were signed into free agent, or they were signed from the international free agent market. The oldest example that we have of a successful homegrown player, overtly successful homegrown player, would be pitcher Brandon Webb. Brandon Webb came up at a time when the Diamondbacks had no money. They had negative money because of the deferred payment debacle that had kind of followed them. So after that 2001, 2002 team, it was time to pay the piper essentially, and their payroll was massive. Like they had they had the number 1 payroll in baseball for a good couple years, even though most of that payroll was going towards players who were no longer on the team. So I say number 1 in payroll, I mean they were paying the most in payroll. So Brandon Webb, who was a spectacular pitcher, and had he not had a tragically short career, would probably be a Hall of Famer. He was an 8th round pick in 2000. So he was a homegrown player. I don't think the Diamondbacks could have gotten that kind of talent in any other way at the time. And he was incredible, went through the whole system and started and ended with the Diamondbacks. The next one that I wanted to bring up was in 2001, we signed an international free agent named Miguel Montero. Montero, if you didn't know, was also a homegrown player. He went all the way through the system. He was our all-star catcher and team captain for a while, and he was incredible, did amazing stuff, and is still with the team today in the organization as a coach and I don't know what all he does actually, but I know he's a coach. You can often see him in the dugout at games, and he was at this event that all the former Diamondback players were at this last week or month or whatever. So, but Miguel Montero, amazing player, amazing get, and a good look at like what a successful draft pick or signing looks like. Developed player. Next on our list, in 2005, in the first round and first overall pick in the 2005 draft was Justin Upton. Justin Upton, I don't know if you remember, he was so fun to watch. He had that kind of talent that just was incredible. It was so fun, and he had the defense, he had the offense. He was super he was exactly what the Diamondbacks needed, but the Diamondbacks weren't exactly in a great spot themselves. They did make the playoffs in 2011, but that was basically it for Justin Upton's time. So unfortunate that we didn't get to use him in a very good spot, but very talented baseball player. And then we have two picks in 2009. The first round pick in 2009 was AJ Pollock, who was very good on the team. I believe he was an all-star, but he was very good and contributed a lot to the team. But arguably, the one that contributed even more from that year was our 8th round pick in 2009, Paul Goldschmidt. And Paul Goldschmidt, I think, is the quintessential example in all of Diamondback history of this is what a homegrown player, this is the best that a homegrown player can get. You draft him, he gets through the system, he becomes a six-time all-star. Crazy. He was on the team for a very, very long time. Super successful. Never made it past the wild card, unfortunately, in the playoffs. But that's also why I think he should be coming back so that we can give him one more shot at making the playoffs and making it as far as possible on the team that brought him in and developed him. And it would be cool if he were to retire here. And I think if he did retire here, then he's got a pretty good shot of, already he's got a really good shot, a case for Hall of Fame. And if he did come back, I think he'd likely go in the Hall of Fame as a Diamondback, and he'd also probably get his number retired too, which would be pretty cool too. Another number to throw up there. That'd be fun. So anyway, is Corbin Carroll going to join this list? I think out of everybody on the Diamondbacks right now, Corbin Carroll is probably the most likely. Perdomo, I think he if he continues moving in the direction he's moving in, I think he's also on there. Jordan Lawler has a ton of potential and could do that. Ryan Nelson, we'll see how he does. Brandon Pfaadt could, Justin Martinez potentially. So I think there's a lot of players that could potentially join this list of greatest homegrown players of all time of the Diamondbacks. So I'm very excited to see that. I'm excited to see, after everything we've talked about today, I'm so excited to see how these players do in this next season. And it's cool because even if the team doesn't perform to the level that we hope they do, which is very possible and very likely, we still can watch these players, whether they're in the majors, in the minors, and see them developing and look forward to when they do show up, because we can say confidently, if we're doing that, when we expect great things from the team and we can spot the wins when they happen. And that's very important. So, anyway, that's the show, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to follow us on X and Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook at Locked On Diamondbacks. We're on YouTube as well as every other place you get your podcasts. If you want to see more of me, you can find more of my YouTube channels and projects at slackshack.tv, my website. Thank you once again for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen every single day, and I will see you tomorrow.